Good evening, and are my ears burning? Because tonight we're talking. This isn't the best intro. I was trying to work burning into it.
Did not run that by me.
We're watching The Burning on McMuscles Midnight Massacre Chapter 2. This is a slasher movie from the far forgotten age of 1981.
That's 40 years ago now. Remember when the 80s was like, oh, it's 20 years ago? Because we were in the 2000s?
Yeah.
What a mindfuck.
So we'll talk about 1981 because The Burning is a summer camp slasher. Oh, but we were making this well before Friday the 13th was a thing. So say the producers and writers and Tom Savini.
Tom Savini, Talking Hot Mess. There's a whole documentary.
Well, we go into that in the end because it's funny. But The Burning is a 80s slasher in the guise of, hey, there's a bunch of teens just kind of doing their thing. It stars one of the worst named slasher villains I've ever heard of. What's his name?
Cropsy. But that comes from a weird urban legend from New Jersey, right?
You've told me this, but I've never heard of
There's
this before.
movies called Cropsy. There's things with this killer. I don't know if it's this guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a different Cropsy.
They don't mention it really. They just mention the movie's legend about him. And his legend,
I don't know, but I know there's more than one Cropsy shit out there.
The legend about him, though, is that he's kind of a jerk. We're not really told why. He's just a jerk, and he's mean to some people. And he's like the groundskeeper Willie of
a camp,
what, Blackfoot camp,
yeah.
I think. And a bunch of teenagers are like, sure, hate that Cropsy.
Because he's a creep.
Let's pull a prank on him, and take us through the prank from what you remember. It's very weird.
The prank is, while he's sleeping, they go in his cabin, and they put there's a thing in a box that they need to light up.
And I'm thinking it's fireworks.
Yeah, and then a bunch of the kids hover around the window facing his bed, scoffing, while one kid brings it, takes it out, and it's this weird, skull, but that still has some sort of human matter on it that's decaying.
But we're not sure if it was a fake skull
maggots or something. It had biomatter in it with a candle in it, and then the guy lights the candle. He places it on his bedside with this skull with a candle in it with maggots, and then he runs out. He's like, let's watch him. Let's see what can happen. This is gonna go great.
They bang on the windows for a good 2,000 to 7,000 minutes until Cropsy finally wakes up and is like, I hate skulls. Knocks it over.
So let me knock it onto my highly flammable dick in bed.
Dick in bed.
And then everything gets set on fire, and then we're treated to one of these,
oh, jeez, I've never been on so much fire.
Yeah, and he bursts out of the cabin, but it's too late. The whole camp goes on fire. He topples into the water.
And then that's the legend of Cropsy. No one knows what really happened to him.
We do know.
Because
immediately, they're like, he's a burn victim at the hospital, at the clinic.
In a big New York town, I guess.
And then, 5 years later, he got rehabilitated enough that he could leave. So he's alive.
So they give
Everyone knows. It's not like what happened to him.
Yeah, they give him skin grafts and he just goes back. But that camp seems to have shut down, but they have a camp that's literally, I want to say, 3 miles away, maybe less. And there's a whole new bunch of teens 5 years later, and they're just like, man, sure hate that Cropsy. No one knows what happened to him. You do know.
Yeah. This
is so weird. Anyway, that's the setup. There's a bunch of teenagers, including one, Jason Alexander. George Costanza.
Can't stand you.
There's one other person, Fisher. You said he's famous, but...
Yeah, Fisher Stevens, one of the really young. He's 15 or something.
I don't know him. Is he River Phoenix?
No, he's somebody. He's still alive.
All right.
Okay.
So there's them, and Cropsy gets revenge on them, and that's the movie. Revenge on these
Okay, so they're not the same teens.
There's one person.
There's one guy who is a director, but he was like, yeah, I had a part of that. We actually don't know which of the kids he was.
I think he's Todd. I think they show him once.
He's one of the kids that did it, okay? And he decided, I'm still gonna be part of camp life.
Yeah, if you set a hobo on fire during your summer camp, he's a hobo. If you set a fire,
Okay.
if you set fire,
A man
I was
on
about to say,
fire.
if you set a hobo to fire, if you set like a fire to a hobo,
You should not be setting anyone on fire.
maybe don't return to the camp some less than 5 years later.
Yeah.
To
You know,
relive
maybe
those
camp
memories.
life isn't for you.
Maybe it's not.
Um,
What did you like from that you saw? What tickled your fancy here? Because we've seen many, movies of this.
I like the super 80s-ness of it. Obviously, the outfits and the stuff like that. Like, Jason Alexander, he had this whole, like, he would always wear number shirts, like baseball shirts, shirts like this.
Jerseys, yeah.
Jerseys, and that was, like, his thing. That was his shtick. No, like, I think it was, I guess, paced okay. There was a good amount of gore. Again, Tom Savini, this is one of his earlier, works.
He declined.
He's 200 years old. It looks better than I'll ever look in my life.
He declined doing Friday the 13th sequels,
Yeah.
like 2 and 3, maybe to work on this movie.
To work on
just do it?
this.
Okay.
This was being made at the same time that Friday the 13th
Part
2
two,
was.
okay.
But at that point, he's like, part 2 doesn't make sense because part 1, Jason died. He's a kid in the river. Like, what are you guys trying to do with this? He's like, that's stupid. And
Yeah.
he kind of did this movie.
Yeah, and-
The
and-
burning. Everyone remembers.
Everyone remembers Cropsy. No, Jason, who he's?
I don't know him.
I
Yeah.
think Tom Savini was just salty that he made like a
But
super
no,
wrong choice.
Here's the thing. Tom Savini did later on work on
I
Friday
think
the
he
13th.
must have,
Like,
right? He must have worked.
that
with somebody.
documentary we watched might have been kind of new, not right away, but like maybe still in the 80s.
No, I
the
don't. No, I don't
90s.
think it was, but I
Oh,
do
really?
think he was just
Still talking
at
about
that.
mess.
He was talking about that time.
okay. So
81.
at that time, he thought anyone who's
He
gonna
must-
watch a Jason movie is stupid because Jason is dead.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah,
Kill Jason.
this has great Tom Savini effects. a lot
Yeah,
of
they're good for the 80s too.
scissors going into people's necks a lot.
You
There's
can
an
tell.
infamous raft scene when you put in
Yeah.
the burning into YouTube.
Yeah.
You get infamous raft
Raft
scene. So
It was good. It was good. Like, listen, the kills, the gore was pretty good. There's this one like super annoying weird kid that we follow
There's
his
two.
story.
well, there's actually 3. Okay, well, are we getting into likes or are we still getting on dislikes?
I mean, what else did you like?
So there's that. Now I will say, out of like a lot of Friday the 13th movies and anything that has a lot of teens, so usually the cast is like pretty unlikable, and most like all of the girls were like none of them get like too much. There's no final girl per se. It's just like a mix of people. Jason Alexander is basically George Costanza in this. He's
funny
making
to
the
watch
same
him.
types of jokes, and it was like weird to see him, but he was entertaining. There's 1 or 2 characters like Rivers, Komomo, Phoenix Fisher, whatever you're saying this guy's name is. He seemed pretty entertaining. So like the cast of teens seemed okay. There were like 3. There's like this one weird loner who the movie spends an awful lot of time focusing
Like,
on.
rooting for
And
him.
there's 2 guys that are like, "Hey baby, what do you mean no? Oh, I don't understand." They all have these
Yeah.
thick New York accents too. And you spend a lot. They're not nice guys. Like
It's not great.
usually in a Friday the 13th movie, there's one guy like this. This
Yeah.
movie has 2, maybe 3.
Maybe even 3.
2.5.
Just trying to push it. Just like, you're like, it's the 80s.
Sure, but 2.
Weinstein approved.
2 seemed like a lot. 2.5 seemed like okay.
It was a little much. It was a little much.
Because every single conversation with them and their
Just
girls
forcing
that they're
themselves on the
with,
girls.
and I'm like, this seems like a lot for this type of movie. Anyway, regardless,
But then it's not satisfying because it's not like Cropsy or whatever just like violently kills them and the girls get to live. You also gotta kill the girls when
gotta
they're half
kill them.
naked. or
Even though
whatever.
girls had nothing to do
Yeah.
with his thing, but his backstory, whatever.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I just generally thought the cast was still like a little bit more life and a little bit more like fun than most of them already. Like, they're not that many that are, there's like maybe 2 that are kind of like fit into the cliches, but they're mostly just kids, and you're like, okay. So that was, and some of the dialogue was like not too bad. It was again like a little like, oh, okay, this feels a lot more improv.
of the time.
Yeah.
Very 80s dialogue.
What I disliked is like Cropsy himself is like super lame. Like he's got nothing to him. He has scissors and he has
There's shears.
scissors.
There's shears, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like
thing.
there's he's not indestructible like Michael Myers. He doesn't have like supernatural powers like Freddy's. Not as is it. He's just a burnt guy with like wearing a
Dark man.
garbage bag.
Yeah.
And he has scissors. And I'm like, okay, well, I can see why this guy didn't go nowhere.
Well, there's not 8 movies about him.
No.
10, actually. No, more.
There's way more than 10.
Whatever. Tom Savini.
So there's one other aspect where I was kind of like, is that, like, honestly, it's hard to say, okay, well, this isn't Friday the 13th, but the movie doesn't really do anything all that interesting or all that different from any of the Friday the 13th. So they're in camp, and that's about it. Like, they can say all they want. We wrote this before Friday. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You comes out after, you're going to be compared. I do think that the trailer is really good. Has this great 80s vibe. The music is good. And the shots of Cropsey, like, very, very infrequently coming out with the shears, strikes a certain. When you look in the Burning into Google Images, it's him with the shears all the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it's a pretty decent to good slasher movie, but it didn't really make the biggest impression.
No, very
Jason Alexander is like literally the highlight.
Yeah, because you're there. You're seeing George Costanza before he's George Costanza. He's like a teen. He's like 16.
Talking about spermicide and shit.
It's like buying hustlers for people. I don't know.
Yeah. He's like, here's your Playboy. He's like, Playboy, give me my hustler. And they're like, ah.
And all these guys are getting all these nudie magazines together, reading them in front of each other. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Y'all gonna start whacking it together?
That's what boys do. Boys will be boys.
I guess.
But yeah, I know if you have not seen this movie and you're
I hadn't, and I've seen a lot.
I
of this
haven't seen it either until this point.
Like, this was my thing. Like, I've seen all the sleepaway camps. Like, I love watching like 80s camp slashers.
And if you haven't seen this one, I would say go
just
see
watch
it.
To watch it.
But like I wasn't blown away. I wasn't like, oh, this is like some gem I've never heard of. I mean, it was all right. So
and we watched it for free on YouTube.
I mean, someone just uploaded it to YouTube, so like,
I don't know if this is
because we couldn't find it anywhere on any other service.
Yeah.
Like, there's a Blu-ray of it, but I mean, it was just like bolts there on YouTube. There. So it was still entertaining, but like, it didn't blow me away. It didn't blow me away like Cropsey got blown away several times. So yeah, that's The Burning. Like, seek it out if you haven't seen it, but I'd give it a soft recommendation. like his face. It's all soft and gooey. So that'll be another McMuscles Midnight Massacre in the bag. We'll be back tomorrow night with, I don't know what we're going to have. It's the burning question.
Oh.